Well, Bafana Bafana will take on Burkina Faso tomorrow evening in their opening 2018 World Cup qualifier. The West Africans are no pushovers, especially at home, and Bafana should be wary of the Stallions as they narrowly missed out on qualifying for the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. Bafana Bafana have been good travellers in Africa, but they're going into the Lions' Den in Ouagadougou. They've had the better of the Stallions of Burkina Faso in previous World Cup qualifying encounters, winning 2 of their 4 matches, drawing 1 and losing the other. And they can't afford to lose the opening qualifier because the team's employer is eager to see the senior national team qualify for a major tournament. Well, for more on that, we are joined by our soccer analyst, Oshebeng Mr. K, and he's coming through from our studios in Mabatu. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Pel.
Now, Tukelo Randia is out of the Bafana Bafana game against Burkina Faso. Of course, we saw midweek it was a whole disciplinary issue. Who's going to be the man that Shakes will rely on to bring in the goals that we do need away tomorrow?
Well, I think, Pel, it would not be correct to say or to suggest that Tokero Rantie has been the only one. Shakes has always, as we have seen in rotating captains, that he does not rely on one single player. The team goes there as a team. This morning we heard that the defender, Eric Matoho's brother, has passed on, and the player decided to stay on with the team. I think that goes to show the kind of mood that is there in the camp. Before the team left for West Africa, Sheikh said that probably said something that we all have wanted him to say, which is to say that let them go there. Let's do what we know we can. As we indicated earlier on, that it will be for the 6th time that the two teams meet. We won the last 4. We lost 1 against them. This is the 2nd time that we play a World Cup qualifier against them. We won the previous one, or the 3rd time we won the previous one and played to a draw. So they go there knowing that odds are stacked against them. When you look at the two teams, Burkina Faso's game has been going up and up, whereas we have been regressing, so to speak. But we go in there knowing that it's going to be very difficult. It's not even the most difficult match in the group, because the Senegal match will probably be the most difficult. In my view, Senegal is probably the most balanced team on the continent.
Now, we've got a great record against Burkina Faso, but although a lot has been said about Coach Mashaba and perhaps questions around his incompetence and inability to have helped us qualify for a major tournament, he's got a great away record, which is probably something that gets overlooked often.
He does, but then we didn't qualify for Gabon 2017 precisely because we have been unable to replicate that record. We have not been doing well at home, not losing, but not doing well, because I think, and everyone will tell you that the best way is to win your home matches. And if you can get draw away, then if you win your home matches, then you should be okay. However, we seem to have been avoiding defeats away recently and not doing so well at home, which is why we are where we are now. But I think we are getting into these qualifications knowing fully well that it's not the most difficult group, not an easy either, but certainly not an unwinnable group.
Now, a lot has been said about the physicality of the Burkina Faso team, but what else does the Bafana squad need to sort of look out for in that game? Because we do have a great record against them, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to just lay there and let us roll over them and let the guys take away the points for them, especially playing at home.
They are not pushovers. Look, several years ago, they were whipping boys of the continent, but as they've proven about three or 4 years ago here at home during the AFCON, where they came 2nd to Nigeria, it's a proof enough that their game have been growing. And most of their squad, most of their players are based in Europe. There are a couple of them who are based in South Africa. So they would know what they would need to know about us. And I think we probably, Sheiks and the technical team should have done a great job in trying to research and getting to know them. But they will be playing at home, fanatical support. It's not always easy to win away in Ouagadougou.
Oshebeng, FIFA has now promised 2 spots to African teams, and this is in the whole bid of getting 48 teams to be participating in the World Cup. Do you think that these spots should indeed be reserved for Africa, or are there other emerging footballing nations that you think perhaps deserve the 2 spots?
It's something that has been in the pipeline for the last 3 years, Pearl. Blatter proposed that in 2013. Of course, Infantino was part of UEFA at the time, and UEFA were promised only 1. At the moment, out of 32 teams, Europe has 13 spots guaranteed, which means if you are to factorize that, it means 46% of the total berth of World Cup, and the rest of the world is left to share about the remaining 54%. Europe has been promised the 14th guaranteed spot. The continent that has not been getting either or any, it's Oceania, which is why Australia, about 4 years ago, following 2006, I beg your pardon, following 2006 World Cup, they asked to be allowed to play from Asia. Asia has been promised a spot. Africa, for me, Africa to be given 2, it's not enough. Because we have 5 now guaranteed. If they give us 2, they are going to take us only to 7, and Europe will get 14. 1 is going to South America. They are bringing in 4 teams, but the problem is you have 64 matches at the moment, at the current format. 64 matches now. That is going to take the World Cup to about 96 matches. It means the World Cup will probably have to be extended by extra 2 weeks. It means now from being played within a month, they probably will have to be played between January and say the 2nd week of July. Now, when you look at how the season goes, in Europe the season ends around May and starts around August. And the remaining 3 months in between, you will have to factorize the World Cup in there. If you look at the systems as they are now, it means during the World Cup year, players would only have to rest about maybe 3 weeks before they resume with their teams. And it means 3 weeks in the entire season. So there have been quite a lot of issues about how exactly is this going to run. But then the World Cup has been growing. You'll remember when it started, a lot of countries did not come, and it started with 13. The first 3 tournaments, it was never really stable from 1930 to about 1950. Since 1954, there had been 16 teams until they were expanded to 24 in 1982. And from 1998, then Africa got extra 2 spots when it was extended to the current 32 format. However, there had always been these inequalities on how World Cup berths have been given, with Africa thinking that, I mean, Africa has got more members in FIFA than any other continent. We have got 54 members, and everybody else has, Europe around 54, but everybody else has less. However, the argument has always been that Africa has not been able to come to the party. The problem is with that argument, yes and no. Yes, that we have not been able to perform because the closest we came was reaching the quarterfinal stage in South Africa in 2010, and before then Cameroon in 1990. The problem, however, is you cannot expect 5 teams in terms of, if you are to talk mathematical chances, you cannot expect teams that have got 5 out of about 10 groups to reach the quarterfinal stage when you are guaranteed a spot. Each and every group will at least contain about 2 teams from Europe. And when you're looking at how many of those European teams have not been able to go through, then you will see that if it's a weakness on the part of the Africans, then the same weakness applies to them too. However, because of the sheer numbers, which is the reason why you'd always find South American as well as European teams, at least in the semi-final stage. However, I think it's lauded that they need to increase that, but I think maybe Africa should have pushed pushed for more. Well, they seem to have been quite content with the extra 2 they got. But then again, argument has always been Africa started playing World Cup in the last 46 years because they have not been stable at the time. We had to qualify by playing other countries elsewhere, whereas Europe has always have their guaranteed 13 spots. Well, before then, until they expanded them to 32, they always had more in terms of the teams participating at the World Cup final stage.
All right, Ushebeng, Mr. Alphie K, fantastic insight coming through from him. We'll definitely have to chat to him after the Bafana Bafana game as they take on Burkina Faso tomorrow evening. Well, that is all from the sports desk. It's time now for the latest weather update.